For my college English class, I was assigned to reflect on my own personal writing process. Ironically, I find myself talking about writing in a virtual world with a virtual body, but that's besides the point. As a general rule of thumb, my life experience with writing has been a roller coaster of emotions, of ups and downs, and all this other stuff. But after reflecting, I found that my view towards the writing experience can be separated into three distinct time periods: elementary/middle school, high school, and college. In this video, I will be delving into the sort of events and mindsets that I had in these three time periods that helped to reflect it in my own personal writing style. Elementary and middle school were by far the worst in my sort of writing process. I was by far not a very good student. For most of the year, I was always getting in trouble both at school and at home, and having well below a 1.0 GPA. Frankly, I only passed because the school weighted the finals so much that you could literally not do anything other than these certain set requirements and still pass the class somehow with a fairly good grade. So I would end the year with a 3, but throughout the majority of the year, I had well below a 1.0. And frankly, I hated to write during this time. I would go out of my way not to do the writing assignments. And in fact, I remember distinctly there was this one assignment that I had to get done because I wanted to get this science project, or be able to do the science project, but I had to get this writing done. So my dumbass at fucking 6th grade was to go online, find the first essay that I found on the topic, and just effectively pirate it or plagiarize it. And of course, my teacher found out, told my parents, and I got the hardest whooping I've ever gotten because of that. And frankly, I'm glad I can say I've never done that since. But that assignment was probably one of the things that really started making me think, okay, maybe I should actually start writing. Granted, I didn't learn this until I was well past the elementary middle school. And in 8th grade, I decided I was not doing well, and I was not going to go through the high school experience at that school, as well as my 2 older siblings who had gone through with flying colors. Both of them were constantly on the top of the honor roll, or bump list, as we called it at the school. And both of them actually skipped a grade or two. My older sister skipped 2 grades because she started early. But I'm getting off topic now. So my parents saw that I was not going to do well in high school, and found out through a family friend that this new school is opening downtown that was kind of supposed to be a college prep school. So my parents approached me and was like, hey, this school's open, why don't we give it a shot? So because I didn't really care at that point, I just said, okay, fine, a school's a school. So I was signed up, got into it, and frankly, once I found out I got into it, I just stopped doing work. I literally didn't do anything for the last half of the year, because I knew I was just not going to be at the school anymore, and I already was in another school, so what was the point of finishing it? But that was kind of what led me into my high school career. So, with the change of scenery from 8th grade to high school, I don't know what triggered it, but I decided to say, you know what? I'm going to be the person who is one of the exemplary people for writing. I really don't know what triggered it. It was probably the fact that I was going to a completely new school where no one knew who I was or the background of our family. So not having the expectation to follow in my older siblings' footsteps probably helped to alleviate some of the burden. It was also probably the fact that because no one knew of me, they didn't know if I was a good writer or a bad writer starting out, so I decided to take this blank slate and do something with it. Granted, the first 2 years, I basically had to try to learn what the last 10 years of stuff I just completely skipped out on. So it took a little bit of learning, but luckily the teachers I had were some of the best teachers I can say I've ever had. Now, one teacher specifically that comes to mind in high school was my 11th and 12th grade English teacher. Now, she took teaching English to a whole different way that I'd ever experienced before. Previously, it was you would take your ideas and you would just start writing. And frankly, for me, because I was still trying to learn that sort of stuff, I never knew where to start. But the way that she took it was she basically put us into a group, had us sit down together, and talk about the topic before any of us had put a single word into our essay. So that really helped me in the way of being able to get my ideas out, see what other people are thinking in that sort of scenario, and frankly, have a place to start, because I can then take that discussion and use it as a sort of starting point, and basically saying, this is kind of what we discussed about, or this is what the discussion is about, and then use that as a stepping stone to guide my argument. Now, I had this teacher for, like I said, 11th and 12th grade during both of my AP English classes. Now, because of the way that I found out how I write personally, I knew for the AP test I was not going to get credit. I knew because of the essays I had to write and the grammar. I'm never great at grammar. I have to use autocorrect, and that's just kind of part of my writing process because I suck at spelling and grammar. But I knew that the way I write, I can't bump out a essay in 40 minutes like you have to on the test. So I knew going into it that my writing style as personally just would not be compatible. So I wasn't really going into that expectation, but her classes specifically, I kind of equate to the reason why I consider myself or where I find myself as a writer today. So granted, going off to college has helped in like thinking through ideas and that, but I really equate the way I write and my writing process to my 11th and 12th grade English teacher, because she just helped me in that way of being able to start and having that area to start, helping me not procrastinate. That was the area that I would suck at, was procrastination. Putting something off till the deadline. I actually find myself still doing that today, but the fact of having somewhere to start is so much easier to just sit down and start writing than to try to just start writing without doing anything. It doesn't go anywhere for me if I just go down and start writing without having any sort of idea what to do. So having those discussions was probably the most integral piece of helping me with my writing process. So especially going off to college. But going off to college is helped me in the way of really hammering down those issues. In my transition from high school to college, my writing process has stayed relatively similar, other than the sort of vocabulary I use from being a more high school relevant vocabulary to a college level vocabulary. Now that's both a good and bad thing. It's both good in the way that I'm still trying to write down as many of my thoughts down in front of me before I even start on like an outline or an essay. It's bad, however, in the way that I'm still finding myself procrastinating. And because of me procrastinating, it then kind of becomes a sort of domino effect of me turning in my first draft as my last draft. And because of that, it's never my best work. So as I go off into more college classes and further my career in college, the plan I end up having to really think about is trying to really dig down on not procrastinating, and as a consequence, that then will lead to me having more time to revise and edit and put out work that I feel happy with. But that's more just sort of trial and error and getting sort of time management down. And that's just something I have to learn, especially because I'm basically 10 years behind in the sort of writing learning. So it's just something I have to really take my time and really make sure I get correct. But other than that, the other things that I may have that currently aren't coming to my mind, I kind of feel that if I stop procrastinating, or at least cut down on procrastination, that my writing process will smooth itself out as I have that time to really focus on doing more and making sure that that amount of stuff is actually quality work. But I guess I'd like to know what you'd think from just seeing my writing and not really knowing my backstory until now, and try to think of maybe some ideas that could help me in the way of not procrastinating or making sure that I can really cut down on my, frankly, lack of time management. But yeah, thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!